Kelly.
Well, thank you. And yes, I am guilty. I am a last-minute shopper. And I want to keep the environment a top priority. So to do that, I'm joined by Rob Grant. Thanks for joining me.
My
from the
pleasure.
Grassroots store. And you're going to tell me what I can do to keep the environment a top priority and what our viewers can do.
Yep, everything we sell here at Grassroots is environmentally friendly. So if you're looking for a gift that gives twice, both to the recipient and to the environment, you're in the right place.
Perfect. So let's get started because I have a little nephew and I have to shop for him.
Okay.
And of course, there's lots of concerns now with kids' toys. Let's talk about this stuff.
Okay, we've got great toys here at Grassroots, and what we've done is we've got, here's a great example of one of the toys that we're selling this season. It's made from bamboo, which is totally sustainably harvested, and it's finished with non-toxic paints. So it's a environmentally benign product, and it's a game. It's a lot of fun, and the kids are
Can't
loving
go wrong
them.
with that.
Loving them.
Now, I really like these. I'm going to give you this one.
Okay.
Now, these are a real great teaching tool as well.
Yeah, these are both educational and just great for children's minds. These are grow kits, so everything you need to grow a Canadian sugar maple is in this box. Everything you need to grow organic heirloom tomatoes are in this little window box, and this is a great way to get kids involved. It's an interactive gift that teaches them both responsibility of taking care of plants and shows them how plants and trees grow.
Oh, and the kids are fascinated by that
Great
stuff.
gift idea.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about the person who has everything, because I'm sure we all can relate to that.
Everybody's got somebody like that on their list. And this year what we're finding is one of our big selling items are these reclaimed serving platters. Okay, you'll notice this is a live edge here. This is a totally reclaimed piece of wood that is locally harvested, it's locally crafted, and it's made with reclaimed wood and hemp oil.
And who doesn't love breakfast in bed, right,
Who
Rob?
doesn't love breakfast in bed, exactly. So it's a great gift for the hard-to-get person.
Perfect. Now let's talk about these, because these are a great item. We're all talking about reducing our consumption and that sort of thing. Now we all drink tea or coffee. We all have that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this, because I like this. This looks like just plastic.
Simple stocking stuffer gift items that are so good for the environment. This is a water container, a juice container that is that replaces all those plastic water bottles that you use every day. And this right here looks like a standard plastic mug, but it's actually made from corn. So it's biodegradable, and it replaces all those styrofoam cups and all those cardboard cups that people use every day for their morning coffee or tea.
Great stocking stuffer.
Yeah, so great way to give a gift that is environmentally friendly.
Well, the other thing we have to talk about is how we wrap our gifts.
Yes.
Because as we all know, a lot of waste is generated over the holiday season, unwrapping our gifts anxiously.
Yeah.
So you've got great stuff for that as well.
So I've got a couple good ideas for you. We've got an environmentally friendly option right here. This is hemp wrapping paper, and we've got a biodegradable cotton ribbon printed with soy ink. So this is a great alternative for your standard gift wrap. Another great idea is reusable gift wrap.
Ah, yeah.
So here we have a standard cotton shopping bag, which is a great way to conceal a gift as well as give a gift. Okay, so this is your gift wrap as well as a present all in one.
Oh yeah, I love this, because you can tote this to work with you.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's like getting two gifts in one.
Yeah.
Well, Rob, thank you so much for joining
my
us and
pleasure.
helping me. But for more information about environmental products, of course, you can visit your website.
You can check out our website at grassrootsstore.com for lots of great gift ideas.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And I'm going to finish my shopping, so we're going to send it back to you in the studio.
And I actually got Kelly a gift in an eco-friendly bag because I knew she takes this stuff very seriously. Stay tuned for you.
Flow coming in from the south, and temperatures will be above zero again.
And wild, wild west. British Columbia is looking at some wild weather today with wind and snowfall warnings. We'll get to those right now. It's time for your national forecast. Thanks for joining us. I'm Emily Vukovic. Along with Chris May, it is Wednesday. It is December the 19th. We are creeping closer and closer and closer to the big holiday where we see the man in red. And I've got this great story in my news where we actually are going to be tracking Santa's progress on Christmas Eve.
This is one of the things you want to look forward to every year on the Weather Network. We turn to a team of experts, government-sanctioned experts, to find and chart the progress of Santa Claus in all of our time zones. So stay tuned. You'll be talking about it on Weather Network News, but also be watching on Christmas Eve, because it really is an awful lot of fun.
I used to try and stay up and wait for Santa every year. I would try.
I tried.
My parents would send me to bed, but
Yeah.
I would try. I would be up in bed, kind of one eye open, covers up, and I never, ever stayed awake.
I'd listen to the radio, do whatever I could, and then I'd wake up the next morning with the radio on and going, wait a minute, it's the next day.
It's Christmas!
Oh, man.
Christmas was fun when you were a kid, wasn't it?
Christmas is fun when you were a kid, becomes stressful when you get a little bit older, and then when you go into having kids, and it suddenly becomes fun again, sort of
I
thing.
see, okay.
Kim and I were talking about this yesterday.
That transition.
It's a transition. It's almost like winter. Winter was fun when you were a kid, and then it became a real drag when you got a little bit older and you had to drive and you had to depend
Yeah.
on traction, and then when you have kids, it becomes an awful lot more fun again.
Now, White Christmas is going to be a little bit of an issue this year. It looks like
The
we're going
song
to see... no, the movie.
Bang, bang.
Anyways, it looks like a White Christmas, maybe hit or miss around the Great Lakes this year. We are going to be seeing a warm-up in the next couple of days.
That was our second headline.
And a significant amount of rain coming to the region.
Yeah, it looks like it is going to be a good amount of rain. Again, this is all track dependent, but right now all model data in shows that we are going to have quite a good amount of rain Saturday, and then well, especially Saturday, and then into Sunday the temperatures drop right back down again. So that said, let's jump ahead to our current systems and show where we stand today, and we'll start our story in Atlantic, Canada,
where we are going to be seeing fairly clear skies today. Sea-effect snow showers are going to continue. It's going to be later on this afternoon and into this evening where you're finally going to see that stationary boundary lingering over Ontario, cruise its way into New Brunswick and southern Nova Scotia, bringing with it some snowfall.
Light snow at this hour for areas of central Saskatchewan, and we have the system of the day making its way into British Columbia. All right, so let's start off with our temperatures.
Good morning, I'm Emily Vukovic, and this is Weather Network News for Wednesday, December 19th. Schools are open, planes are off the runway and back in the sky, and roads have been plowed. Unfortunately, getting around in some places is still hard. Snowbanks are piling up in Toronto, and some sidewalks are still caked, making it difficult to get around. The storm that left all the snow behind started pelting southern Ontario on Saturday, and by the time it was done, more than 20 centimeters fell on the city. But even though there's still some cleaning up to do, most prefer the snow at this time of year.
Well, I'm from Montreal originally, so I can manage. And I live downtown, and I stayed home and enjoyed the day.
I actually had to work on the Sunday, and it was just tough getting to work because the drive was a lot slower, but you just got to be careful.
This is nothing anyway. I mean, when you think about it, other places have it a lot worse than us, so we're a little bit spoiled.
It's been great. I had a great time on the weekend. I didn't try to drive, just went out and shoveled, and I'm loving it. It's like the childhood Christmas, you know? There's snow for a change instead of gray slush after the snow.
And when it comes to Christmas gifts, electronics are the top of many wish lists. But before you play Santa, you might want to consider what will happen to that new computer or game console when it isn't new anymore. Shelley Steves and Kelly Noseworthy team up for that story.
Look around. You'll see plenty of computers and other IT equipment. This is what Dennis Maslow is trying to keep from getting into our landfills.
Started to come across reports saying that Canada was generating on the order of 200,000 tons of electronic waste a year, and that there wasn't really any systematic solution for it.
So he found one. 6 years ago, Dennis made e-waste his business.
We try and apply a 3 R's model here. So in addition to reuse and recycling, we're also reducing electronic waste by servicing people's computers when they still want to keep them.
In Canada, only 15% of electronic waste is actually recycled or reused. But that number could grow as more people find ways of reducing their electronic waste. It makes sense economically, and it's good for the environment.
Electronics is something we see in our everyday lives. We use them in our homes. We certainly use them at work. And I think there are a lot of questions around what do I do with my electronic piece of equipment that I'm finished with when it reaches its end of its life.
The idea is to stop potentially harmful toxins that are in electronics from getting into our water and soil.
Waste reduction starts from consumption, thinking about what you buy, how much you buy, and how often you buy, and what kinds of products you're bringing into your home, into your businesses.
When someone does want to get rid of it, we look at it, and depending on its age, its cosmetic condition, and if it can pass tests and be warranted, we will refurbish the gear and then put it out there for reuse either through remarketing or donation. Failing that, then we'll proceed with a recycling solution.
A similar program in Nova Scotia will start up in the new year. Shelley Steves has that part of the story.
That's right, Kelly. The Nova Scotia government has developed an e-cycling program of its own, and it's actually quite strict. Starting in the new year, it will actually be illegal to dump old computers and TVs.
As of February 1, 2008, it'll be the law that you cannot landfill these anymore.
Instead, people will have to drop off their outdated electronics to a recycling depot.
Consumers will be able to take their televisions, their computers, computer peripherals, take them back there for recycling.
Where they're dismantled and the parts are sent off for recycling. The drop-off service will be free, but consumers will have to pay when they go to replace their outdated equipment.
They'll pay anywhere from, say, $5 for a laptop computer up to $45 for a large big screen TV as an environmental fee.
So when the time comes to toss that new computer or TV, the recycling service is already paid for. That way the environment and future generations won't have to pay the price. For the Weather Network, I'm Shelley Steeves in Truro, Nova Scotia.
And the men and women at NORAD in North Bay have a very important job. But their most important one happens on Christmas Eve. Major James Peck tells us what that job is.
Absolutely. It's a happy time for us in here, and of course everybody wants to be at work that night to make sure that we quickly identify and go out and greet Santa Claus as he comes in. So we're making sure that all the sensors are highly tuned, that all the systems are up and operational, and that people are ready, looking in the right and appropriate places, as we always are, to ensure that we pick Santa Claus up right away.
And make sure you tune into the Weather Network on Christmas Eve, when we'll have regular reports from NORAD on Santa's progress. And that's a look at Weather Network news for this half hour. Stay tuned for your local details. Okay, it's time now to take a look at active weather, and it's your turn today in Atlantic Canada to see the little system that Ontario, well, Central Ontario and Eastern Ontario saw yesterday through the overnight, continuing today. It's that boundary's really become quite stationary.
Yeah, it's becoming annoying, really, is what it has been for anyone, for you, getting up this morning around the shores of Lake Superior. Timmins, Kapuskasing this morning, light snow. We're seeing this in Earlton and North Bay, seeing Sudbury, exactly. This is all everywhere out towards Val-d'Or-Rouen and extends all the way back to northwest Ontario, Kenora, Dryden, Sioux Lookout. So it has been stationary and is going to, through the day, finally catch a wave and ride it east. Let's take a quick look.
So starting off in Atlantic Canada for this morning, it's going to be fairly clear. A lot of that CFX snow is going to be incredibly light, if you even see any of it, off the western shores of Newfoundland, Cape Breton, as well as PEI. It's going to be by this afternoon that southern New Brunswick, southern Nova Scotia start to get into the cloud cover, and then by this evening you'll start to see some light snow.
Snow already developing Montreal and Sherbrooke. It will continue to dissipate, but then be sort of absorbed by the energy of this next system, making its way from the south and north. Now, this is developing through the day today off the around Cape Hatteras, just north of the Carolinas, and this could be some accumulating snow to the exposed shores of Nova Scotia. For the most part, just cloud cover for the rest of the Maritimes.
Taking a look at the snowfall forecast for southern Ontario today, just as that system passes, the cold front's going to pass through southern Ontario, bringing with it some very light snow through London, through Toronto, trace to maybe 1 centimeter. There's also the potential for some mixing.
Now, you saw areas around Ottawa and Montreal where they were in the 5 to 15 range. You're looking at possibly 5 to maximum 10 range, and those will be in isolated pockets. Eastern Township, Sherbrooke as well.
Now, you can see by this evening things really start to clear out as that system progresses into Atlantic Canada. A brief break, and then by Thursday, around the shores of Lake Superior, could be seeing some light snowfall.
Yep, trough just makes its way across the region. It'll be enhanced by some lake effect off this southerly flow. We'll tell you more about this coming up.
This program sponsored
Canada, but you will see a couple of centimeters by the time the overnight rolls around.
Yeah, light snow to the north of Ontario as well. To the north, to the south, temperatures are on the rise. Could see some staggering early day highs this weekend.
And wild west. British Columbia is looking at some wild weather today with wind and snowfall warnings. We'll get to those. Are you singing Wild West?
The Will Smith version of it. Saw the movie on the weekend. Can't get enough
did you
of it.
really?
Will Smith, Kevin Kline. Yeah, it's in my DVD box. It's my DVD collection. I love that movie. I just think it's great. Not, of course, Selma Hayek's in it as well. But anyway,
yeah, that doesn't hurt now, does it?
That's not too much of a dividing point between my wife and I. Not at all. Okay, Selma Hayek. Anyway,
It is going to be fairly wild today on the west. We'll talk about that later. You're going to see snow, you're going to see winds, you're going to see a lot of rain. But first, we're going to talk about the situation that was throughout Toronto and the situation that continues throughout Toronto. Trying to struggle your way through the streets, a lot of snow coverage, sidewalks are still pretty much caked. Working with a stroller, probably not the easiest thing to do.
You know, this is probably the best idea is to, oh, there's two people. Get somebody to come with you to carry the stroller. That's the
I'm
intensity.
the stroller carrier always.
You're the stroller carrier?
Always. Well, I don't have a kid, so whenever I hang out with my friends or family that have children, I get stuck with the stroller and not the baby.
My wife always carried...
The stroller's heavier than the baby.
I know that. I know. It's also a lot clumsier as well, and my wife's a lot more sure-footed than I am. But I was in downtown Hamilton a few days ago, like the day after that storm, and that was the exact same situation in downtown Hamilton. Because when you get into the older cities that have been around for hundreds of years, it's a lot tighter, a lot more narrow, and you find an area like that in downtown Toronto, and where are you going to put the snow? Can't be on the roads, so walking is treacherous. So when we get to the long-range forecast, stay tuned, coming up in about a minute and a half. Warm up on the way for you in southern Ontario, so you might not have that many days ahead where you're walking through piles of snow. Let's get to the current systems and start things right now.
Okay, let's start off in Atlantic Canada, where today you are going to be seeing some very light snow. You are going to be dealing with mainly clear skies through New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland. It's going to be chilly, and you'll see that snow by later on this afternoon.
This stationary boundary continues to bring snow to northwest Ontario, really nickel belt north and bordering Quebec. To the south, winds are starting to...
On Tuesday, covering many regions in a very thick blanket of snow. Temperatures plummeted as the cold snap set in. Temperatures recorded were about -5. It pretty much put the country to a standstill. Lugo, it's in northwestern Spain, and that's where it was chilly. The roads became very ice covered. The happiest members, of course, were the children.
Is he putting water on his windshield?
Well, I mean, he may have been using some sort of solution to get rid of
windshield
the
washer
ice.
fluid.
Spain gets snow maybe once a year.
Before we start...
And look at you telling him to get some windshield wiper fluid. He's not in Canada, Chris.
grab a giant jug of MotoMaster. What are you doing? Before we start lumping in all of Spain with this.
True, because Spain has resorts and ski resorts and mountains.
To the north, cold. To the northwest, cold. To the northeast, not so cold. And then to the south, almost blazing hot all the time. So
that was in the northwest. It is very rare that they get big snowfall like that.
He might have been from Malaga, and he traveled north on vacation.
Well, maybe
what in the world?
And now he's not friends with you.
Yeah, well, he couldn't have gone very far after dropping a bottle of water on a frozen windshield.
Okay, let's take a look at the temperatures and conditions across the U.S. today. It's a cold day in Boston. It's a chilly day in New York, seeing some showers. New Orleans, active weather in the forecast for you. Miami, 23 degrees, a mix of sun and cloud with a chance of showers in the afternoon.
Start our story in Atlantic Canada, where a bottle of water on the windshield, not a great idea. Temperatures into the -20s to northern Quebec and in through Labrador. That area of high pressure is clearing things out, helping the winds abate somewhat. Now, it is so cold that if you have any cloud cover, you will see very, very light flurries through much of the Maritimes. And there's that system making its way in from eastern Canada into the Maritime provinces for tomorrow.
Maybe could be. You'll be seeing lots of snow on the coastal mountains. We'll have details right now. It's time for your national forecast. Emily Vukovic, Chris May. It's Wednesday, December the 19th, and I just want to talk a little bit about windshield. Just a little bit about windshield wiper fluid. Now, the last time we were on the air, we were talking about Spain and how it got some snow, and we saw some visuals of this guy kind of dumping what looked to be water on his windshield to kind of scrape it off, I guess, bottled water or whatever. Well, I heard from a friend of mine, this is what a friend of mine tells me to do. If there's not a lot of frost on the windshield, just use your windshield wiper fluid and it will get rid of the frost.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Does it work for you?
No. No, it doesn't matter that even when it's purple and -45, which is the only gel I use all year round, still doesn't.
No, I'm doing it when it's like, you know, this morning, for example. You know, you had a little tiny little bit of frost. I tried it this morning, and all it does is when you put on your defrost or whatever, it just fogs up. It's useless. So to my friend who thinks that works, it doesn't.
And for anybody else who thinks that works, then don't do it either.
Don't do it.
We got an awful lot coming up this half hour. Coming up in about 10 minutes' time, We're going to turn to, for you in Atlantic Canada, yesterday we aired part 2 of the Walter Gretzky series. And if you weren't with us later on in the morning, which I can't imagine you would be, you would have been at work, we're going to re-air part 2 for you this morning.
I saw Walter Gretzky yesterday.
You saw him?
Not in person.
On television.
I saw him in a commercial.
Oh, you did?
And I thought, oh, he's famous, and Chris got to talk to him. Lucky.
Love that jacket.
Yeah, he was in a commercial with Wayne, I'll have you know. It was all about inspiration. It was very sweet.
Well, we're going to be picking this up, and part 2 will be for you in Atlantic Canada, so enjoy that. That'll be part 2. Part 3 comes up a little later on today, and then for Atlantic Canada, we will re-air part 3 tomorrow morning around the same time, around about 5:15 in the morning for you in the Maritimes, and 1/4 to the next hour in Newfoundland.
Okay, let's jump to current systems and talk about you in Atlantic Canada, what you are going to be seeing today. You've got some lingering snow right now throughout Newfoundland as that system just continues to track off. Today, it's going to be fairly clear, it's going to be cold, and then you're going to start to see the snow from that system, which is story number 2 throughout Ontario, track into New Brunswick and Nova Scotia today.
Trough making its way in association.
Thanks for staying with us. This is a very special edition of Weather Network News. And this week we are doing, I guess, a 5-part series where Chris spent some time interviewing the very famous, the very talented Walter Gretzky.
He, of course, is the father to Wayne Gretzky, as everybody across the country knows. But more than that, he is the quintessential authority on outdoor hockey rinks. He has a wealth of knowledge with regards to all things that are related to winter sports. And a common misconception, and he really set us straight on this, and that was Walter was very adamant with this, and that is winter sports for boys and girls. First of all, we have gold medal after gold medal after gold medal after gold medal winning women's hockey teams, but it's beyond that. It's anything to do with outdoors, getting out, being physically active, and anything for the kids. And he loves anything hockey. But the good part is that the interview is not all about hockey.
No.
Today, he talks about the changing of the temperatures, the winters from back then in the 60s when Wayne was learning, to the winters of today, about 40, 45 years on.
Okay, well, without further ado, let's check out today's interview.
Hi, I'm Chris May. We are in Brantford at the Wayne Gretzky Sports Complex with the first father of hockey in Canada, Mr. Walter Gretzky, reflecting this week on the changes in the winters, in Canadian winters, and also obviously how it affects hockey, outdoor hockey versus. Stay tuned for more.
Well, he seems like a really amazing man. I'm sorry I couldn't have been there for it. But Chris, I have to say, you're standing on the ice.
Yeah.
You're talking to Walter Gretzky, and you mentioned that you're freezing. You knew you were going to an arena. You knew you were going to be standing on ice.
I'm telling you,
I don't get it.
I was
freezing right now.
long johns and boots away from being absolutely comfortable.
Did you wear long johns?
Nope.
Did you wear boots?
No. You saw what I had there. I had almost my studio shoes here. It's very, very. I was not. I guess prepared for how cold the ice rink was going to be. I guess
not.
Been.
You know, I've been to a concert where the seats were on ice, and you could feel it.
Yeah, you could definitely feel it.
Yeah.
Coming up a little bit later on in the program, we are going to get to part 3, so we invite you to stay tuned for that.
Taking a look now at active weather, the system that was in Ontario, well, it kind of continues to be through central and eastern Ontario, is moving its way into Atlantic Canada, so New Brunswick, Nova Scotia. We'll start to see the snow later on today.
Let's pick this up right now, where you had active few days. The winds are now starting to ease. High pressure in. Here's the only problem with the high pressure being in is that the temperatures to Labrador and northern Quebec are going to be absolutely bone-rattling cold. They will be coming in from the north. And that system that's pulling out of areas just north of the Great Lakes will be making its way into Montreal and then the eastern townships, eventually through the overnight through the southern regions of the maritime provinces.
Tuesday morning, another system is going to approach from the U.S. and bring a little bit more snowfall to southern Nova Scotia and the shores of Nova Scotia, so Halifax could pick up a few centimeters.
And we're going to cover that one in depth coming up in just a few minutes, so stick around. In about 7 minutes we get to our long range and regional forecast for today. This is what we're looking at after this is through.
Yeah, it's been fairly stationary. It doesn't want to go anywhere fairly quickly, but when it does by this evening, it will have left a couple of centimeters of snow in its wake. Through southern Ontario, there is the potential for mixing through Hamilton and Toronto. Even as far east as Kingston, you could be seeing a little bit of rainfall.
Trough from the west makes its way into northwest Ontario, back again to the snow, Thunder Bay, Geraldton through the Nipigon region. You're also going to have some lake enhancement. Where did that system start? here in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, it's just going to be light flurries for the most part throughout the day today. Some snowfall, and it is going to be heavy along the Rockies. You are going to see a warm-up in southern Alberta and southern Saskatchewan. You've got the winds coming from a southwesterly direction.
The storm in British Columbia is another concern of ours, and we will continue to follow this. This is the snowfall forecast that you can expect. The coastal mountain, yeah, could see 30 or more centimeters of snow on top of what you've already received, and this is basically the progression of what we're following.
Heavy rain up and down the coast, especially on the western shores of Vancouver Island. Could see an additional 30 millimeters by the time today is over. Stay tuned for more details.
This year's Stop It.
Light snow still covering the northern regions of Ontario too, anywhere from Kenora, Dryden, across Sault Ste. Marie and Sudbury, North Bay. To the south, temperatures on the rise.
Wild, Wild West. Come on into the Wild, Wild West. Did I get it? Are those the right
You
lyrics?
actually did get that. You nailed Will Smith.
It's going to be a pretty stormy day today. Rain up and down the coast for you in British Columbia. Snow for the interior. Whistler is going to pick up about 25 centimeters. So you have a ski vacation planned. Well, that's good news. Thanks for joining us. I'm Emily Vukovic along with Chris May, and it is Wednesday. It is December 19th. We are so close to Christmas. As soon as we get close to the 20s, that's when I get a little anxious, like, oh, have I got everything? Did I do all of my shopping? I've kind of been fibbing to you for the last week or so.
Ah, see, this is where it all falls apart.
My guilty conscience is like eating away at me. I said that I was finished my Christmas shopping. I'm not.
Uh-oh.
I know.
Much?
I know. Well, I'm going to do some today. I'm going to hopefully finish it today. I've got a couple hours that I can squeeze in, and it's for my dad. That's the problem. I got to buy something for my dad, and it's stressing me out.
I never had a problem
I'm putting it off, and I'm putting it off, and then finally today I just have to bite the bullet and go shopping.
Anything I got from my dad was always accompanied by a gift receipt, so I got
that's a good idea.
Myself covered. So, good morning to you in Atlantic, Canada. We're going to say good morning to you right now in Halifax. Hope you enjoyed the segment we just showed you with Walter Gretzky this early in the morning. -11. We're going to have part 3 for you tomorrow. Cool day. Now this is what we've been talking about.
Beautiful,
high pressure in place, which is going to clear the skies. You are going to see the sun. You have more snow on the way in your long range forecast, but that's the long range. But boy, is it ever going to be a cold day through especially the more northern regions of the Maritimes and Atlantic Canada. Northern Quebec and Labrador will be into the -20s.
Let's take a look now at our current systems, and we can show you exactly what is happening right now in Atlantic Canada. You do have that very weak trough through Newfoundland, providing some very light snow, St. John's as well as Gander. Through Atlantic Canada, through the Maritime provinces rather, it's not bad. Not a bad start today, but as you were saying, it's very cold, especially for you in Halifax. You will start to see the snow developing later on this afternoon.
This is the system that has been relatively stationary through the day yesterday in northern Ontario. That is going to finally drift off towards the east. You can see some accumulating snow, Ottawa, Pembroke, Kingston, Montreal. Very light, non-accumulating snow through the